As good as Peyton is he's very skilled with his arm. Robert is skilled with his arm and his legs, so that what makes him more dynamic and more dangerous. But they are very similar. Natural quarterbacks are natural leaders. They take control of the huddle, the meetings, and their teammates around them, and communicate with all the players from offensive linemen to receivers and running backs. So Robert's going to be very good at just as good as Peyton.
Redskins wide receiver Pierre Garçon on NFL AM yesterday, giving his quarterback some high praise, and as we well know, he played with both Peyton and now plays with RG3. So here's the question, Stephen A., I'll start with you. Do you like, love, or hate Pierre's comments?
I hate him.
Okay.
I absolutely hate him. And I'm going to tell you why. I don't like, Skip, the expectations that are being placed on RG3's shoulders. Look, enough already. People need to shut up about this guy. And I'm dead serious. I'm talking about everybody. And listen, we know he can play. We know he's a stud. We know how special he is. We know how much of, just an electric figure he is. We know what he means to my town, Chocolate City, the nation's capital. We get all of that. But the more people talk about this guy, the more expectations are placed on his shoulders. And by the way, it extends beyond the sport of football. They're not just talking about his ability to run. They're talking about his ability to throw. Then you're going to get into conversations about how smart he is in terms of reading defenses and all of this other stuff. How much of a cerebral play he is. I don't have a problem with any of that stuff. But then all of a sudden, you're going to set it up to a point where you talk about him so much, such lofty expectations are placed on his shoulders that they're going to come crashing down. You know it's bad when even doctors can't shut up about him. Okay? You got Dr. Andrews, can't be quiet about him. You got Coach Mike Shanahan, can't be quiet about him. You got teammates, can't be quiet about him. So what happens? All it does is place expectations on his shoulders to the point where no matter what he does, unless he gets it all done, meaning a Super Bowl championship while passing for 4,000 plus yards, while keeping the turnovers at a minimum, the touchdown passes at a high, while running the football. Oh, by the way, make sure you don't get hurt. And of course, we want to hear that you're the first guy in the practice and you're the last guy to leave. And oh, by the way, then all of a sudden it's going to be everything else. Enough. He's a football player. He can ball. He's no scrub. We get it. So's Russell Wilson. So's Colin Kaepernick. And by the way, you're going to draw comparisons to Peyton Manning, a man that has passed for nearly 60,000 yards, who's a Super Bowl champion, who is widely considered the greatest, as you would say, Skip, regular season quarterback to ever grace the NFL. You have 1 year in the league and you're being mentioned in the same breath as him. Fall back. I'm not saying he can't be these things. I'm saying relax, because we are setting him up to fail, because failure or success is going to ultimately be defined by others' expectations of him, as opposed to him just going out there and doing what he's supposed to be doing. No young kid should be subjected to that. I said the same thing to you, Skip, about Tebow. I'm saying it about him. Everybody needs to chill.
Usually, I would agree with every word you just spoke. Not in this case. I'm not going to say I love these comments, but I will say I like them. From a Pierre Garçon, who came into this studio, you remember, back in the football season, and sat right here at this seat next to me in between us. Smart young man, Pierre Garçon. He knows exactly what he's saying. He knows that this young quarterback and young man is so special that he not only can stand up and live up to these expectations that Pierre's helping fuel, he can thrive on them and rise above them, Stephen A., because we saw it last year. As a rookie, RG3 did things that even the great Peyton Manning couldn't quite accomplish. He led the Redskins to the NFC title as a rookie. Got a little help late from Kirk Cousins, but he did lead the Redskins to 7 wins to close the year. And he led them to a 14-0 lead on the Seattle Seahawks that they would have maintained if, as we know, he hadn't tweaked his knee and then badly hurt his knee later in the game. That shows me that he did it enough on the NFL stage. He's got potential. I know that's a long way to go to get to 60,000 yards. Peyton can't run like this young man can. And I still say that as he learns to get down and slide, that the read option for RG3 is here to stay. It will be very difficult to defend for the next, God bless him, 10 or 12 years. And it will make RG3's offense at least as dangerous as Peyton's is, because Peyton's is built mostly, as you know, around ball control passing game. That's fine. It's great. It works. God bless both of them. But I don't think it's out of bounds or out of line for Pierre to put that kind of expectation on a now-to-be sophomore NFL quarterback.
Well, Skip, number one, that's because you love RG3 to death, and I get where you're coming from. And number two, it's because you've completely misrepresented my argument. I'm not disagreeing with what you said about him as a football player. I agree with all of those things. I've seen him play too. I'm simply talking about constantly articulating and elocuting such praise upon this dude to the point where we are going to suddenly reshape what's defined as success or failure as it pertains to this young man. And that is what I fear, particularly in the society that we live in. The kind of attention we bring to him is going to give a lot of people who don't have the right to the license to sit there and judge everything about him. Who he's walking down the street with, how he carries himself. Does he sign enough autographs? Does he take enough pictures? You know, we even have a doctor talking about how he expects him to be healthy ahead of schedule. So what if training camp comes and RG3's not ready to go? What's going to happen then? These are the kind of things we've got to pay attention to. In Chicago, we have a guy by the name of Derrick Rose, who is considered maybe the most humble superstar you would ever run across. The city of Chicago, Jordan's territory. He is so beloved. He was so loved and adored, etc., that you know what? He could do no wrong. And his brother, God bless him, his brother Reggie, who's a good dude, who loves his little brother, sits there and makes a comment. And now because of that, and the hesitancy that Derrick Rose has in coming back because mentally he's not sure whether he's ready or not, he's getting scrutinized in his hometown. And it's almost like a 180 has taken place where all of a sudden that love affair isn't there. Why? Because of the expectations essentially placed on him, not just by a city, but to some degree assisted indirectly by his brother's comments about the team he plays around. The relevancy to an RG3 is that, hey, when people are talking about you too much, all of a sudden, through no fault of your own, you find yourself in precarious situations and circumstances because of others' expectations they want to heap on you. And I'm always concerned about that with some dude in their young 20s. Let the dude play. Let him play. That's all I'm saying.
Stephen A., I'm on record. I believe RG3 will be 100% ready to go for the opener. And what did I tell Roddy White when we had him on Wednesday? Where did I rank the Redskins? Top 5. Number 5 in my off-season power rankings because I think they'll be even better next year. So you can blame me for putting too much expectation on this young man. I just believe in him, and I believe he will not only live up, he will exceed.
Yeah, but you're talking about his performance because you believe he's a star in the making, as we all do. I don't blame you for that because, Skip, you stopped there. But if you listen to the comments from everybody else, it's getting to be a bit too much. We're dissecting every little crevice about this dude. That's my concern. Simply stop and say, the boy can play. I can't wait to see him play next year. We got the message, but all of this stuff that they get into, comparisons to Peyton Manning, is it going to stop at football? Dr. Andrews, oh, he's going to come back early. And I don't blame Dr. Andrews to some degree because you're basically praising yourself because you're the one that did the surgery. So I sort of understand it. Like I said weeks ago, I'm simply making the point that we're delving into different territory here because we're starting to dissect him in ways that are going to extend beyond what you're talking about. I'm not blaming you for that because you simply stopped by saying, I saw him at Baylor. I know what I saw in his rookie year. This is a bad man. That's all you're saying. But if you listen to everybody else, Skip, They're going further than you've gone with him. And that's what I'm concerned about. Because there's no win in that for RG3. And I'm saying he doesn't deserve that. Leave him alone and let him play.
Do you think it'll personally bother RG3? Will it put too much burden on him?
I'm saying no. The answer would be no, not at this point. But what if something happens? What if he's all of a sudden confronted by some degree of adversity and people start using that to really get at him? Who knows how it will affect him then? That's my point, and that's not fair to him because he didn't ask for this. He's just balling. That's all.
Stephen A., you said let him play. Did you see the 14-year-old play yesterday in golf?
Yes, I did.
You did? Well,
Yes,
coming up
I
next,
did.
we are going to talk about that because